Irritating people, unfair criticism, disrespectful behavior, and unexpected problems seem to have a strange power over most people. A single comment can change someone's mood for hours. A small disagreement can turn into a day of frustration. One moment everything feels fine, and the next moment anger takes control. Yet there is a fascinating truth that very few people stop to consider. The people who remain calm in difficult situations are not living easier lives. They are not surrounded by kinder people. They do not possess some rare gift that makes them immune to frustration. In many cases, they face the same rude individuals, the same disappointments, and the same challenges as everyone else. The difference lies in a hidden skill that most people never learn. While others react automatically, they understand something about human behavior and emotional control that changes everything. For centuries, some of the wisest thinkers in history studied anger and reached a surprising conclusion. They discovered that anger often gains its power not from what happens around us, but from the meaning we attach to what happens. This idea sounds simple at first, but once fully understood, it can completely transform the way a person experiences life. The truth is that many people spend years trying to control others. They want people to behave better, speak more respectfully, and act more fairly. But this approach creates an endless struggle because other people cannot be controlled. Their opinions cannot be controlled. Their actions cannot be controlled. Their attitudes cannot be controlled. The more energy spent trying to change them, the more frustration grows. Meanwhile, the calmest individuals focus on something entirely different. They learn how to control the one thing that truly belongs to them, their response. This is why some people can walk away from insults without feeling wounded. This is why some people remain peaceful during arguments that would make others furious. This is why certain individuals seem impossible to offend. What they know is not obvious, and most people never discover it because they spend their lives looking in the wrong direction. Throughout this video, you will learn why anger is often misunderstood, why certain people have the ability to disturb your peace so easily, and why emotional reactions can become habits that quietly control your life. You will also discover powerful insights from psychology and timeless wisdom that reveal how to stop giving away control of your emotions. More importantly, you will learn practical ways to remain calm when faced with criticism, negativity, disrespect, and difficult people. As we move forward, some of these ideas may challenge the way you currently think about anger. Some may even reveal hidden patterns that have been affecting your life without you realizing it. And near the end of this video, we will uncover one of the most powerful mindset shifts that can dramatically reduce the influence other people have over your emotions. It is a lesson that has helped countless individuals protect their peace, even in situations that once seemed impossible to handle. So stay with us until the end, because each part builds on the next, and missing one key idea could mean missing the insight that changes everything. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy exploring psychology, self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and the hidden truths behind human behavior, make sure to subscribe and join us for more videos designed to help you think deeper, live calmer, and become stronger from the inside out. Before we can learn how to stop getting angry, we have to expose one of the biggest lies most people believe about anger. It is a belief so common that almost everyone accepts it without question. The lie is simple. Other people make us angry. At first, this sounds completely true. After all, when someone insults you, disrespects you, cuts you off in traffic, betrays your trust, or speaks to you with arrogance, anger seems like the natural result. The mind immediately points outward and says, "This happened because of them." But if this belief were completely true, then every person would react the same way to the same situation. Yet that is not what happens. One person receives criticism and loses control. Another person hears the exact same criticism and barely reacts. One person gets ignored and feels deeply offended. Another person gets ignored and continues with their day without a second thought. One person hears a rude comment and carries it for weeks. Another person hears it and forgets it within minutes. The event is identical. The words are identical. The situation is identical. The reaction is completely different. This simple fact reveals something most people overlook. The event itself is not creating the emotion. Something else is happening between the event and the emotional reaction. That something is interpretation. Think about how quickly the mind creates stories. A coworker walks past without saying hello. Within seconds, the mind can begin creating explanations. Maybe they are angry. Maybe they are disrespectful. Maybe they think they are better than everyone else. Maybe they no longer like you. Yet another person observing the exact same situation might think something completely different. Perhaps that coworker is distracted. Perhaps they are stressed. Perhaps they simply did not notice anyone around them. The same event produces two completely different emotional experiences because the meaning assigned to the event is different. Most people spend their lives focusing on what happened. Very few people stop to examine the story they created about what happened. And often that story becomes the true source of suffering. This is why anger can feel so automatic. The brain works so fast. It does not wait for complete information. It fills in gaps. It makes assumptions. It creates explanations. Then it reacts to those explanations as if they were facts. Sometimes those explanations are correct. Many times they are not. Yet the emotional reaction arrives before the truth does. This is why people often become angry over situations they later discover were misunderstandings. They reacted not to reality itself, but to their interpretation of reality. The mind saw danger, disrespect, rejection, or unfairness and immediately prepared for battle. There is another reason this matters. If other people truly controlled your anger, then your emotional state would always depend on their behavior. Your peace would be in their hands. A stranger could destroy your mood. A rude comment could control your entire day. A careless action from someone else could decide how you feel. That would mean you have very little power over your own inner world. Yet deep down, most people know this cannot be the answer. The strongest individuals are not those who never face difficult people. They are those who refuse to let difficult people decide their emotional state. They understand that while they cannot always control events, they can learn to control how those events are interpreted. Once this idea begins to sink in, another question naturally appears. If people are not directly causing our anger, then why do certain people bother us so much? Why can some individuals instantly trigger frustration, while others barely affect us at all? The answer often has less to do with those people, and more to do with our expectations. Expectations are invisible rules we create about how life should work. Most of the time we do not even realize they exist. We simply assume they are correct. People should be respectful. People should be honest. People should be reasonable. People should be grateful. People should understand our intentions. People should treat us fairly. These expectations seem perfectly reasonable. In many cases they are. The problem begins when reality refuses to cooperate. Reality does not care about our expectations. Reality does not ask permission before disappointing us. Reality places us among people who are selfish, impatient, insecure, emotional, dishonest, confused, distracted, and flawed. Every single day, someone will fail to meet the standards we have created in our minds. When that happens, frustration begins to grow. Not necessarily because of what they did, but because reality violated an expectation. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment often becomes. Notice how often irritation starts with the word should. They should know better. They should be more mature. They should respect me. They should understand my point of view. They should appreciate what I have done for them. These thoughts feel justified, yet they quietly create suffering. The mind becomes trapped between reality and expectation. Instead of accepting what is, it argues with what is. It demands that people become different from who they currently are. And because that demand is impossible to enforce, frustration continues. This does not mean lowering standards or accepting bad behavior. It means understanding the difference between preference and expectation. It is perfectly reasonable to prefer respectful people. It is perfectly reasonable to value honesty and kindness. Problems begin when those preferences become rigid expectations that reality must obey. The world contains billions of people, each carrying different experiences, wounds, fears, and motivations. Expecting perfection from imperfect people is a guarantee of constant disappointment. Many people spend years becoming angry at human nature itself. They become shocked when people act selfishly, shocked when people gossip, shocked when people break promises, shocked when people disappoint them. Yet these behaviors have existed throughout human history. Human beings are imperfect. They always have been. They always will be. The more deeply this truth is understood, the less power disappointment begins to hold. You stop being surprised by flaws because you recognize that flaws are part of the human condition. As this understanding grows, another hidden pattern begins to reveal itself. Most people believe they simply notice disrespect when it appears. What they do not realize is that the mind often becomes trained to search for it. This creates a cycle that is rarely discussed. The more offended a person becomes, the more sensitive they become to future offenses. Their attention starts scanning the environment for signs of disrespect, rejection, criticism, and unfairness. Small incidents that once would have gone unnoticed suddenly feel significant. Neutral comments begin to sound hostile. ordinary mistakes begin to look intentional. This happens because attention acts like a spotlight. Whatever receives attention appears larger. If attention constantly focuses on negativity, negativity seems to appear everywhere. If attention constantly focuses on disrespect, disrespect appears to multiply. The mind becomes a collector of evidence. It starts gathering proof that people are rude, unfair, inconsiderate, or against you. Eventually, the world begins to look exactly the way the mind expects it to look. Think about someone who constantly expects criticism. They often notice every negative comment while ignoring dozens of positive interactions. Their attention filters reality. Another person may experience the same day and remember the encouragement, kindness, and support they received. The difference is not necessarily the environment. The difference is where attention was directed. Attention feeds emotion. What the mind repeatedly focuses on becomes emotionally important. This is one reason some individuals seem offended by everything. They are not necessarily encountering more disrespect than everyone else. Their minds have simply become highly trained to detect it. Every conversation becomes a potential threat. Every disagreement becomes evidence of rejection. Every criticism becomes an attack on their worth. Over time, this creates a habit of emotional reactivity. The person is no longer responding only to reality. They are responding to patterns their mind has learned to expect. The more this cycle continues, the easier it becomes to feel victimized by ordinary events. A delayed reply becomes personal rejection. A disagreement becomes disrespect. A different opinion becomes an attack. The mind starts filling empty spaces with negative assumptions. Without realizing it, many people become addicted to offense because offense provides certainty. It explains problems quickly. It creates villains. It confirms existing beliefs, but it also steals peace. This leads directly into one of the most powerful ideas found in Stoic philosophy. The Stoics understood something about human psychology that remains just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. They believed that most events are neutral until the mind assigns meaning to them. In other words, situations often possess far less emotional weight than we imagine. Much of the weight comes from the story added afterward. A message goes unanswered. What does it mean? The truth is that it could mean many things. The person may be busy. They may be overwhelmed. They may have forgotten. They may be dealing with personal problems. Yet the mind often chooses the most painful explanation first. The same thing happens when someone fails to greet you, cancels plans, disagrees with your opinion, or offers criticism. The event occurs, then interpretation arrives. Then emotion follows. The Stoics encourage people to separate facts from stories. The fact might be that someone did not respond. The story might be that they do not respect you. The fact might be that someone criticized your work. The story might be that they are attacking your value as a person. The fact might be that someone seemed distant. The story might be that they secretly dislike you. These stories feel real because they happen quickly. Yet, they remain interpretations, not facts. Most emotional suffering begins when assumptions become reality inside the mind. The brain treats imagined meanings as if they were proven truths. Anger grows, resentment grows, anxiety grows, all because of a story that may never have been true in the first place. The Stoics understood that freedom begins when you learn to pause between the event and the interpretation. In that pause, new possibilities appear. In that pause, a emotional control becomes possible. In that pause, the power of other people begins to shrink. And once you start seeing how many emotions are fueled by assumptions rather than facts, you begin looking at everyday situations in a completely different way. There is a reason calm people often appear stronger than everyone around them. Even when they never raise their voice, never argue aggressively, and never try to dominate others. Most people misunderstand where real power comes from. They think power is the ability to force people to listen. They think power is winning arguments, getting revenge, proving others wrong, or making sure nobody disrespects them. But true power operates differently. True power begins when your emotional state no longer depends on the behavior of other people. The moment you gain control over your emotions, you gain freedom. And freedom is one of the most powerful things a person can possess. Many people spend their lives reacting. Someone insults them and they react. Someone criticizes them and they react. Someone disagrees with them and they react. Someone provokes them and they react. Their emotions are constantly being pulled in different directions by people who may not even matter. Without realizing it, they become emotionally controlled by everyone around them. Their mood changes according to the actions of strangers. Their peace depends on circumstances they cannot control. Their happiness depends on the opinions of people they barely respect. This creates a fragile life because anything can disturb them. One rude comment becomes enough to ruin an entire day. One disagreement becomes enough to destroy a friendship. One moment of criticism becomes enough to create hours of anger. Calm people live differently. They understand a simple truth that most people overlook. The moment someone can control your emotions, they control part of your life. If another person can make you angry whenever they choose, then they possess influence over you. If another person can destroy your peace with a few words, then they have gained access to your inner world. Most people would never willingly hand over control of their money, their home, or their possessions to strangers. Yet every day they hand over control of their emotions without hesitation. A stranger makes a rude comment online, and suddenly their mood changes. A difficult coworker says something irritating, and suddenly their peace disappears. Someone acts disrespectfully, and suddenly their thoughts become consumed with anger for hours. Calm people refuse to make this trade. They understand that emotional control is one of the most valuable forms of independence. This is why insults often stop working against truly calm individuals. It is not because they never hear insults. It is not because they never encounter rude people. It is because they understand what insults actually are. An insult is simply a collection of words until you decide it means something important. Many people immediately accept every negative statement as a threat. They feel obligated to defend themselves. They feel obligated to respond. They feel obligated to fight back. Calm people recognize that not every opinion deserves attention. Not every criticism deserves emotional investment. Not every attack deserves a reaction. The ability to ignore meaningless negativity creates enormous freedom. Think about how many arguments continue only because both sides refuse to stop reacting. One person says something offensive. The other person responds emotionally. Then another response follows, then another. Soon a small disagreement becomes a major conflict. Hours are wasted. Relationships are damaged. Stress increases, all because neither side was willing to let go. Calm people often end these situations before they begin. They understand that many conflicts survive only because people keep feeding them with attention. Remove the emotional reaction, and the conflict often loses its power. The same thing happens with provocation. Some individuals intentionally try to upset others. They enjoy creating drama. They enjoy pushing buttons. They enjoy seeing emotional reactions. This behavior exists everywhere. It exists in families, it exists in workplaces, it exists in friendships, it exists online. These individuals succeed only when people respond exactly as expected. The angry response becomes their reward. The emotional reaction becomes proof that they have influence. Calm people remove that reward. They refuse to participate in emotional games. Because of this, they become extremely difficult to manipulate. Many people assume emotional control means suppressing feelings. It does not. Suppression is pretending emotions do not exist. Emotional control means feeling emotions without allowing them to become your master. Anger may appear. Frustration may appear. Disappointment may appear. The difference is that calm people do not immediately obey those emotions. They observe them. They question them. They allow the intensity to pass before deciding how to respond. This creates a gap between feeling and action. Inside that gap lives wisdom. One practical way to develop this wisdom is through what can be called the 24-hour rule. This simple principle has saved countless people from regret. The rule is straightforward. When emotions become intense, delay important reactions whenever possible. Do not send the message immediately. Do not make the decision immediately. Do not respond immediately. Do not retaliate immediately. Give yourself time. Time is one of the most powerful emotional filters that exists. Most emotional reactions feel urgent in the moment. Anger convinces you that action must happen now. It creates the illusion that immediate response is necessary. But emotional intensity often distorts judgment. What feels important right now may seem completely insignificant tomorrow. The problem is that many people act during the peak of emotion and then spend weeks, months, or even years dealing with the consequences. Think about how many arguments begin with words people later wish they had never spoken. Think about how many relationships have been damaged because someone reacted in anger instead of waiting. Think about how many mistakes were made because emotions were allowed to make decisions. A few hours can completely change perspective. A single night of sleep can reduce emotional intensity dramatically. What once seemed like a major insult may later appear trivial. What once felt unforgivable may later seem understandable. This is why powerful questions become so valuable during emotional moments. Will this matter next week? Will this matter next year? Is this worth losing my peace over? These questions force the mind to step outside the present moment. Anger narrows focus. It makes everything feel immediate and personal. These questions expand perspective. They remind you that many problems are temporary. Consider how often people become upset over situations they barely remember months later. An argument in traffic, a rude comment from a stranger, a disagreement on social media, a careless remark from someone having a bad day. At the time, these events can feel enormous. Yet with distance, they often become meaningless. Time reveals what emotion hides. Many problems lose their importance when viewed from a broader perspective. The fascinating thing is that most situations resolve themselves when given enough time. Emotions cool down. New information appears, misunderstandings become clear, people calm down, circumstances change. What seemed urgent often becomes irrelevant. This does not mean avoiding every difficult conversation. Some situations require action. Some boundaries must be enforced. Some problems need solutions. The difference is that calm people respond after thinking, not during emotional chaos. As emotional control grows, another important realization begins to emerge. Most people take far too many things personally. They assume that everything other people do is somehow connected to them. If someone is rude, they assume they are being targeted. If someone is negative, they assume it reflects their value. If someone criticizes them, they assume it defines who they are. This way of thinking creates unnecessary suffering because much of human behavior has very little to do with you. People carry invisible struggles everywhere they go: stress, fear, insecurity, frustration, disappointment, anxiety, unresolved pain. These internal battles influence behavior in ways that are often misunderstood. An angry person frequently spreads anger. An insecure person frequently spreads criticism. An unhappy person frequently spreads negativity. Many people assume these behaviors are personal attacks when they are often expressions of internal struggles. A person who constantly criticizes others may be struggling with their own feelings of inadequacy. A person who becomes hostile over small issues may be carrying stress that has nothing to do with the current situation. A person who seeks conflict everywhere may be fighting battles inside themselves. Their behavior reveals something about their emotional state. Yet people often make the mistake of turning these behaviors into judgments about their own worth. This misunderstanding creates enormous emotional pain. Someone speaks harshly, and immediately the mind asks, "What is wrong with me?" Someone behaves negatively, and the mind assumes, "I must have caused this." Someone disapproves, and suddenly self-doubt appears. But much of the time, other people's actions reveal more about them than they reveal about you. This perspective creates freedom because it separates your identity from the behavior of others. You stop allowing every opinion to become a verdict on your value. You stop measuring yourself through the reactions of people who may be struggling with issues you know nothing about. You begin recognizing that human behavior is often complicated, emotional, and deeply influenced by personal circumstances. A person having a terrible day may speak sharply. A person carrying unresolved pain may become defensive. A person filled with insecurity may attempt to diminish others. Understanding this does not excuse harmful behavior. It simply prevents you from absorbing it unnecessarily. Instead of immediately personalizing everything, you begin observing more objectively. You recognize patterns. You see emotional states. You see human imperfections. This understanding gradually leads to one of the most important shifts a person can make. Peace becomes more valuable than being right. At first, this idea can feel uncomfortable because many people are conditioned to defend themselves constantly. They feel the need to correct every misunderstanding. They feel the need to respond to every criticism. They feel the need to win every argument. They feel the need to prove themselves to everyone. But eventually a deeper wisdom begins to develop. You start realizing that many victories are not worth their cost. Winning an argument may cost peace. Proving someone wrong may cost energy. Defending yourself against every criticism may cost emotional stability. The reward becomes smaller than the price. This does not mean becoming weak. It does not mean allowing people to mistreat you. It means becoming selective about where your energy goes. Energy is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Every argument consumes it. Every unnecessary conflict consumes it. Every emotional battle consumes it. Calm people become careful investors of their attention. They stop spending energy on situations that provide no meaningful return. One of the most liberating realizations in life is understanding that not everyone needs to understand you. Not everyone needs to agree with you. Not everyone needs to approve of you. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how clearly you explain yourself. Some people will criticize you no matter what you do. Some people will dislike you for reasons that have nothing to do with reality. Fighting every one of these battles is exhausting. As peace becomes the priority, many old habits begin to disappear. The need to win every argument starts fading. The need to correct every mistake starts fading. The need to defend every opinion starts fading. The need to prove your worth starts fading. You begin asking a different question. Instead of asking, "How do I win this?" you ask, "Is this worth my peace?" That single question changes everything, because the answer is often surprising. Many conflicts survive only because someone continues feeding them. Remove the fuel, and they fade. Remove the emotional investment, and they lose power. Remove the need to be right, and many arguments simply disappear. Sometimes silence accomplishes more than words. Sometimes walking away demonstrates more strength than staying. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Picture a life where other people's moods no longer decide your mood. A life where rude comments no longer stay in your mind for hours. A life where criticism no longer shakes your confidence. A life where difficult people no longer have the power to ruin your day. Most people spend years trying to change others. They try to make people more respectful, more understanding, more fair, and more reasonable. But real freedom begins when you stop trying to control everyone around you and start mastering what happens within you. The goal was never to control other people. The goal was always to stop allowing other people to control you. Because every time someone can provoke you, manipulate your emotions, or steal your peace, they gain power over a part of your life. And that is a price too high to pay. True strength is not found in winning arguments. It is not found in proving people wrong. It is not found in getting the last word. True strength is remaining calm when others lose control. It is protecting your peace when chaos surrounds you. It is choosing wisdom when anger demands a reaction. It is walking away from battles that are not worth your energy. The most powerful person in the room is often the one who stays calm, while everyone else is overwhelmed by emotion. The one who cannot be easily offended. The one who understands that peace is more valuable than pride. The one who knows that not every opinion deserves attention, and not every conflict deserves participation. And the day you fully understand this, the day you stop handing your emotions to strangers, critics, and difficult people, is the day you become truly free. If you enjoyed this video and found value in these lessons, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more insights on psychology, self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and personal growth. Also, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who might need this message today. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what is the one situation that tests your patience the most, and how do you usually handle it? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.